Hey friend, Brandon here. Now that the Google Pixel 6 Pro is here, we can't help but think about what's next. The reality is that the Google Pixel 7 Pro and Tensor 2 have been in works for months already. So right now is the most strategic time when we as a community can share what we'd like to see in the Google Pixel 7 Pro. So the question is, what do you want to be made better, refined, fixed, or removed? I asked a number of you on Twitter and Instagram, which you can follow me at This Is Tech Today, so we'll go over some of those in this video, but I still want to hear what you think in the comments. Think of the ideal thing that you want. Don't compromise on what you want to see, and hopefully we'll get something that's close to that. But here's what I and you want to see in the Google Pixel 7 Pro. By the way, this video is sponsored in part by Canva, which I used to make this video, but more on them later. Now, the battery is one of the biggest areas of improvement that you wanted to have for the Pixel 7 Pro. The Google Pixel 6 has had some varied experiences with battery life. Some people have average battery life, while others have terrible battery life, despite the largest battery ever being put into a Pixel 6 Pro. After having fantastic battery life on the Pixel 5 and 5a, it's a real bummer to not have that same fantastic experience on the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, there are many theories for why this might be the case, from maybe a power-hungry modem or the efficiency of the processor, but some are finding that their battery life is dramatically improved if they're on Wi-Fi only and not using 5G, while some have different types of battery life depending on what kind of carrier they have and the signal and all this other stuff, but it's just kind of confusing. Google needs to find a modern and more efficient modem to put in the Pixel 7 Pro. And honestly, I'm not sure what Qualcomm would do. Would they let Google use their modems even though Google's using Tensor? I don't know. So this might be something complicated to solve unless Samsung has a modem that's up to par. Now, to be fair, the battery life is not as bad as the Google Pixel 4 XL, but Google needs to really find a way to make sure that the battery life isn't even average as a baseline, but phenomenal. On top of that, it takes so long to charge the Pixel 6, so it'd be nice to have some real fast charging, because honestly, it can take up to like 2 hours for me to charge the battery all the way. We just need something that can go to 50% in 10 to 15 minutes like other smartphones like the Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now, a lot of that battery life is contingent on the level of optimization found in the software and the capabilities and demands of the processor. Google's first foray into custom silicon on the Pixel 6 has largely been uneventful and boring, which is actually a fantastic achievement. It could have been a disaster with tons of issues, but it is surprisingly up to par for the most part, at least compared to other chips out right now. But leaks are already showing that Google is already working on Cloud Ripper or GS201 or Tensor 2 or whatever Google calls it. We're not exactly sure what Google will change compared to the current generation of Tensor, but Google needs to do something more than just business as usual, where they're merely staying up to par. In fact, Google needs to start pulling ahead. I would love to see Google start moving towards the great things that we're seeing from Apple now, where they start optimizing Android with a processor in extremely efficient, refined, and intentional ways that result in astounding performance. Things like higher efficiency, lower power draw, lower heat and throttling, and top-tier gaming performance and headroom like what we see on the A15 Bionic. And of course, we need to have Google push into its artificial intelligence and machine learning prowess. Now, when we look at the software, it would be great if Google would get all of its bugs figured out in Android 12. It's honestly rough compared to previous releases, and I hope that Android 13 is largely about refinement, fixes, and optimization. But if there are any software features that you said that you wanted, it would be the option to customize the always on display, and one of my personal favorites, bringing back the squeeze to assist. And then we need to talk about the image processor. It needs to be significantly more powerful and fast compared to whatever it is now. Currently, image processing still takes a while after hitting the shutter button, especially in night mode, and video quality could have more room for processing and improvement with a better processor. Now, interesting fact I learned at the MediaTek Summit in November, having faster RAM like the latest LPDDR5X and more of it can actually help speed up the processing because it provides more space to buffer and process the images. So having that would be pretty nice to have built in as well. Speaking of the camera, there's a lot to be stoked about with the Google Pixel's camera, and I mean a lot. It's great, but it unfortunately still feels a bit lacking in terms of that polish, and there are some obvious things that would be amazing to get if we could have the ideal camera. So many of you mentioned some pretty reasonable and obvious things like better low light photos and video, better video in general, a macro camera, and a better front-facing camera. But many of you also had some specific desires, like a wider angle front-facing camera that's more similar to that of the Pixel 3, a wider angle rear camera to at least match that of the iPhone because it's a little bit narrow in comparison, and that kind of brings us to also wanting a much better sensor on the ultra-wide camera, because the ultra-wide on the Pixel 6 Pro is honestly the weakest sensor amongst all three of the main cameras. cameras. It just has less detail and low light capabilities compared to the other lenses. And that actually brings up a very interesting idea: parity amongst the lenses in a variety of ways. So maybe have a GN1 sensor, the sensor that's on the main sensor, on all of the sensors, and maybe have sensor shift stabilization on all of them, and autofocus on all the cameras, including the ultra wide, which is currently missing on the Pixel 6 Pro. Then you have 4K capabilities with greater frame rates, like 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and yes, 24 frames per second on all lenses. I mean, that would be really great, because you know what, when I put these videos into a video and my 24 frames per second timeline, it gets a little stuttery because, you know, they don't really line up, and 24 frames per second is kind of the conventional one, but you know, you're kind of going for the unconventional one. I don't know, Google, help a brother out. Wow, I just really ranted there. Along with that is having all the lenses, or essentially camera parity between the Pixel 7 and the 7 Pro, so you're not missing out on a telephoto lens, for instance, on the Pixel 7. But you know what, that's a lot to ask, to be honest with you, and that has to come at a cost. So I'm curious, would you be okay if the price was more expensive to make these things possible? And if so, how much would you pay for a Pro model and a baseline model? I ask because that $599 price point on the Pixel 6 is really dang good and attractive. There's always a balance, right? Now, the fun and ideal ideas were expanding the zoom range of the telephoto lens, or a variable aperture like what we briefly saw on the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, and what we're seeing again on the Sony Xperia Pro I. And then there's something that I would be really excited to see personally: LiDAR and Soli sensors. That would really help out with augmented reality, virtual reality, better portrait mode detection, and just the ability to expand Google's ambient computing goal. Now, for some of the polish that's needed, well, we need smoother transitions between cameras, a higher quality lens coating like Zeiss to prevent as much flaring, and refine the camera processing. For years, Google has used the same sensors on their phones, and that processing was optimized for those sensors. But with these significantly better and new sensors, Google has inherited that intense processing that was trying to compensate for an older, less capable sensor on their new setup. So Google needs to just kind of cool it a bit on the processing, because the natural sensor and lens is able to produce some really great images without any processing, as David Imel has noticed. And I actually prefer a less processed look that looks more natural and like a typical DSLR or mirrorless camera, like what you're seeing right now. At a minimum, they need to at least make it easy for us to make changes on how processed we'd like it. Maybe a sliding scale of what kind of look you prefer based upon the processing. Speaking of making changes, you can easily make changes using Canva. But what is Canva? Canva is a super easy tool to use that allows you to edit your photos and videos on your computer or your phone. But the best part is how much time it can save, because it hardly takes any time to make something that looks good using the many templates available for a variety of use cases like social media, ads, business proposals, presentations, YouTube videos, thumbnails, and more. In fact, all of the title slides used in this video were made using Canva Pro, which was super easy to do by searching for a theme I liked and editing the text to my preferences to get an animated title slide to use that looks super polished and cool. And if you upgrade to Canva Pro, you can work together with a team of up to 5 people for only $12.95 a month, and you can unlock tools like this background remover, which is really great for making thumbnails, magic resize, which makes it easy to adjust your content for different social media platforms, a content planner, and a brand kit to make sure that everything is consistent, especially if you're working with others. On top of that, you get up to 100 gigabytes of storage so you don't lose your designs. It's really everything in one place. The best part is you can get a free 45-day extended trial to try out Canva Pro by clicking the link in the description. So check it out, and thanks so much to Canva Pro for sponsoring this portion of the video so I can make content like this for you for free. Now, I'm actually really impressed with how good the Pixel 6 Pro, especially in this sort of sunny color, because it's definitely a large step up in quality compared to their previous models. But it's not perfect or the most up-to-date. But what did you all ask for? First, there was a surprising number of you that asked that there would be a smaller option with the same overall specs as the full-size models. And I actually understand this and love smaller phones myself. I mean, I use the iPhone mini and the Pixel 5, and they're some of my favorite smartphones in a long time. But the part that's working against those of us that want a smaller phone, including me, is the fact that most people just buy bigger phones. And that's probably why Google has pretty much made all their phones bigger lately. They just sell more. Now, beyond physical size, most of you want a matte texture on the back that makes it less slippery, which is definitely what I also want. And then even size bezels like what you see on the Pixel 5 and the iPhone. And then more color options beyond the boring options you find on so many Pro models of phones. Now, if I were to add more to this, I'd want a matte finish on the camera so it's not glass like what we see on the S21 Ultra, and way better speakers added. The speakers are fine, but both Samsung and Apple have significantly better speakers. They're also like really uneven on the Pixel 6 Pro, so that bothers me like crazy. Like the top headphone speaker, it's just so quiet. Now, we can't really talk about improvements to the build and design without talking about the display. A big part of symmetrical bezels is the display itself, and whether or not Google chooses to include a far more expensive option where the display curves and folds under itself like what you see on Apple devices. Speaking of curves, how about no? So many of you were passionately against a curved display. It makes it super hard to find a good screen protector, which thankfully there's finally one coming at the beginning of 2022. Well, I'll link that down below in the description once that's out. But it also makes the display and body weaker and more prone to cracking compared to a flat display. If they do indeed choose to or need to have some sort of curve, at least make it subtle, something like what you see on the S21 Ultra. But credit where it's due, I haven't experienced a single accidental touch with this curved display. For more display specific things, many of you asked for Google to bring back ambient EQ, which was on the Pixel 4 XL, but it had some issues with how it's tuned and implemented. So hopefully they can bring it back, but do it properly this time so it doesn't mess with the quality of the image so much. Along with that, having the ability to set the white balance to something warmer or cooler would be really nice to have, because not everyone wants that warmer white industry standard for calibration. And then there's the auto brightness. It ain't smooth. The way that Google has tuned it has it ramping up in a way that doesn't really smoothly transition like what you see on an iPhone or other phones. Instead, it makes really dramatic changes that make it step up and down and make it really obvious. This takes away from the smooth finish that you otherwise see in other areas of the phone, like when you access your phone. Along with auto brightness, even though it's fine in direct sunlight, it would be really great if Google would increase the brightness significantly and give the ability to hold that peak brightness for longer. That would make it amazing to use in direct sunlight. And honestly, the iPhone 13 Pro, it has a 1000-nit display and it's pretty fantastic. Now, I'm not sure if this was the most requested thing of all the comments. I mean, battery life was really up there, but I think the fingerprint reader may have taken the top spot. People haven't enjoyed how reliable it is or how slow it is or where it's located. Most of you wanted the old technology back where it's on the back of the phone or maybe built into the G logo. Some of you want it on the power button on the side. And a lot of you wanted the same technology that you see on the S21 Ultra where it's an ultrasonic fingerprint reader. To be honest, I still don't like the fingerprint reader in the S21 Ultra, but maybe something better would help. Now, along with you, I was really stoked to see that many of you wanted the Face Unlock to come back. After using the Pixel 4 XL, which had the solely radar system built in, and Apple's Face ID on the iPhone, it's so nice having Face Unlock on your phone. If Google can push into this hard and make it something that developers support in all of their apps, the benefit of just opening an app and it verifies you without you having to think about it can actually be a reality. And it's just so nice, and I want both a Face Unlock and a fingerprint reader. Now, here's one that I heard over and over again. Have more availability for the main lineup of the Google Pixel in other countries, and provide more storage options and colors in other parts of the world. Unfortunately for my friends outside of the United States, UK, and Europe, you haven't been able to enjoy the Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. And strangely, not all storage options are available on all colors, even in the US. And a lot of that definitely comes down to Google's lack of supply chain savviness and the increased cost of having more SKUs or different models, colors, and sizes. And then you have market penetration and the higher prices to match the different tolerances of different markets. With that said, I think the overall positive reception and success of the Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro could actually help move some of those factors in a positive direction and potentially encourage Google to expand its offerings to different areas. So that's a good thing. But are there any things that I miss and that you'd like to see Google add, refine, or remove from the Google Pixel 7 and 7 Pro? Let me know in the comments, and in the This Is Tech Today Discord chat server, there's a link in the description. Thanks for watching This Is Tech Today. Until next time.